Hello, and it's Saturday, April 10th, 2021. Welcome to episode 24 of Dinner from the Dining Car. Now today, we're making the Baltimore and Ohio, B&O, their cornbread pie. Now, if you ever find B&O Historiana, they have records that some of their passengers deliberately passed their destination point just so they could have more of this cornbread pie. So that must be something else. Anyway, this isn't a simple recipe. It does take a little bit of doing, but the ingredients are pretty fair. Let's start off. A pound of ground beef. You're going to brown this and mix it with other things. What you're going to mix it with is a small onion, completely chopped up. You're going to need a can of tomato soup. Now this is the condensed, and you'll just use it right out of the can into the sauce here. You're going to need 2 cups of water. That's for the soup. You're also going to need salt, and I got new salt and pepper mills. Really nice, by the way. Pepper. You're going to need, you're also going to chop this up really fine, a green pepper. And you're going to need 1 can of whole kernel corn, drained. Make sure it's drained when you use it. That's for the meat. You're going to bake this in a casserole dish. You're going to top that meat. Oh, also, you're going to need a little ground cumin and a little chili powder. But you're going to make this, brown the meat with all of these things in it, let it simmer for a little bit, and then you're going to let it simmer 15-20 minutes. Then you're going to pour it into a greased casserole dish, and you're going to top it with a cornmeal. Now, if you're sticking strictly to the recipe, use a cup of cornmeal, tablespoon of sugar, tablespoon of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon and a half of baking powder. However, I'm going to cheat. I went and got a bag of Aunt Jemima's cornmeal mix. Now this is already mixed with the flour, the salt, a little bit of sugar. You're just going to use about 1.5 cups of this and mix it up real well. And you're going to put that as a topping on the pie. You're also going to need, for the cornbread topping, a 1/2 cup of milk and 1 egg. You'll put that in a bowl and you'll whisk it up really good. Make sure it's all mixed. Get as many of the lumps of it out as you can. And you're going to pour it on top of the meat mixture. Then you're going to bake that in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes. Might be a little longer depending how big your casserole comes out. Anyway, that's it for the ingredients. We'll be back a little bit later to do the actual preparation and cooking of this puppy. Again, if it comes out like the historical documents I've seen, wow, this ought to be good. So one final thing, if you come to find out you like these videos, please hit that like button on YouTube, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Hitting the like button and subscribing will kind of monkey with YouTube's analytics and their formulas, and this video might get out to more people. Anyway, again, Thanks for watching the intro. We'll be back in a bit to do the cooking. See you then. Okay, we are back, and now we're going to get started with the meat, onion, and bell pepper mixture with the pie mixture, which has got to simmer for 20 minutes. After that starts simmering, we'll make the cornbread topping that goes on top of it. So here we go. First, here's your pound of lean ground beef. Wash your hands. Now I use a 93.7 ground beef. 7% fat. It doesn't leave a whole lot of fat in anything you cook. Now if I were making burgers, I'd go with 80-20 because it just makes a better burger. But this, we're going to go with my typical 93.7. You might want to shop around, see where you can get that extra lean beef cheaper. I get it down the street at my local grocery outlet for $4.99 a pound. That's a pretty good deal. Okay. In with that, we're going to toss one finely chopped up whole onion. Small whole onion. Stir that up and brown it up. Let that cook for a tad. Brown. This is going to be good. Oh, get that out of there. Big piece of the onion skin. If you ever cooked with onions, you don't want that outer layer of skin. It's kind of disgusting. It also doesn't chop up real well either. Okay. That's browning nicely. Already smells good. Just the ground beef and the onions together just really smells good. Okay, now that that's successfully browned, you're going to add your one chopped up green pepper. Oh, there's a big chunk. You're going to add your drained can of whole corn, if it ever comes out of there. Your can of condensed soup. And 2 cups of water. a stir. Kind of mix everything together. That green pepper was ground up. Well, too late now. It's already in there. That's starting to smell good already. Now comes your seasonings. You want to use a teaspoon of salt, but I'm just going to eyeball it. That's about a teaspoon of salt. Now, again, I use pink Himalayan salt. You can use whatever salt you want. Kosher salt, Malden salt, all three will be good. About 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. And you're just kind of shaking it out there. You can always add more later. There we go. Cumin. Your ground cumin. You're going to add a teaspoon. So just so you get the hint of it, and it's not all overpowering. And then you're going to add a tablespoon of chili powder. Well, okay, the bottle's not open enough to get a tablespoon in. So here's conversion for you people that may not know. 1 tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3. And that's all your seasonings for that. Now again, you'll give that a stir. Oh, it definitely smells good in here. Now you're going to bring that to a boil, and then you're going to let it simmer for 15 minutes. Once it boils, we're going to cover it and simmer it for 15 minutes. So it's just about boiling. Okay, it's boiling. So turn it down to a lower heat. Cover it, and set your timer for 15 minutes. Now, if you'll excuse me, we're going to change camera positions so I can make the cornbread topping and get the casserole pan greased up and ready to go. We'll be back in a second. Okay, now that we have the meat and vegetable mixture simmering, and wow, does it smell good in here. Now comes the time, excuse me, for the corn batter. We need this. So you're going to need about a cup of the cornmeal mix if you can get the bag open. By the way, you don't have to get Aunt Jemima cornmeal mix. You can use, I imagine if you really wanted to, you could use pretty much any cornbread mix for this. I just happened to choose this. All right. A cup of the cornbread mix. There's half a cup. That is really fine grain. Here's a full cup. Kind of just whisk that around. Form yourself a little one egg. And a cup of milk, cow juice as I'm prone to call it. There's half a cup. There is a full cup. Now that you got that, you just whisk it around. Make sure it's as lump-free as you can possibly get it. Now it's going to look a little thin, but then again, it's supposed to. Actually, that's way too thin. I'm going to add just a little bit more. And add another half a cup. Well, that was a third of a cup. Just enough. That's much better. So you're going to put in a half a cup and a third of a cup of the cornbread mix, or if you just buy a plain old, like a Jiffy cornbread mix or a Marie Callender's cornbread mix, just mix it according to the directions there. And as you can see, it's a nice batter. It's not all that thin, it's not all that thick. That's just about, look at that, that's just about perfect. Okay, that's for your topping. I'll have to cushion off my chair. Okay, so now we just wait until the meat mixture has had a chance to simmer and it has 10 minutes left. While that's simmering, I'm going to cut the camera off, get out the casserole dish, and get it good and greased up. So we'll be back in a second. Well, a second for you, 10 minutes for me, to assemble this all together and get it in the oven. We'll be right back. Okay, here we go with the last step. We have our casserole dish heavily greased. You're going to want to grease this sucker like you wouldn't believe. Vegetable shortening would be the best thing. Otherwise, it's going to stick like crazy. Here we go. We take the meat mixture off the stove. Let's do this with your right hand, Tony. You're probably going to need both hands to lift this because it's heavy. And plop it into your casserole dish, making sure you get all those good little tidbits of onion and a little ground beef. Now, I've never made this recipe before, but this smells very similar to something my wife Judy used to make all the time called tamale pie. So if this turns out and we like it, she can't find her recipe for her tamale pie anymore. So if this turns out and we like it, we'll just use it as a substitute for tamale pie. Okay, now that that's in there, you take your cornbread mix. And you kind of pour it all over the top. Now don't worry if it sinks. It will rise while it's cooking. This is going to rise a bit while it cooks, and anything that sinks will bubble up to the top. So you're going to be in pretty good shape here. This already looks delicious. I don't know if you can see it from there. Oh well, there goes my chair. Let me bring it a little closer so you can get a look at it. It's just kind of like topped with cornbread-like yumminess. And now we set it in the oven. Let me pick up my chair so I can sit. There. That's it. It's in the oven. Again, the oven is preheated to 350. Now, the recipe says 18 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna gamble that it's gonna take a lot longer than that, probably half an hour to 45 minutes, because of the cornbread mix is kind of thick. And we want that to be cooked. So I'm going to check it in half an hour, and if it's done, I'll pull it out. If it's not, I'll give it some more time. And then when I make the video, I'll let you all know how much time it needed. So until we get it out of the oven, that's it for now. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, here we are. It's been in the oven for 30 minutes. The timer just went off, and I checked it 4 or 5 minutes ago. It looks like it's done. So we're going to get it out of the oven. Grab my handy dandy little oven mitts. Now these are oven mitts, in case you've wondered. My wife ordered these on QVC quite some time ago. These are fabulous. Oh wow. Oh, look at this. That. I'm going to bring the camera a little closer so you people can see this. This is dynamite. There you go. There is a real good shot of it. This is out of the oven, and this is done. That's just beautiful. Now we're just going to wait a few minutes for that to cool off so we can eat it. Whoa, what the hell? How did I get to black and white? Wow, suddenly changed to black and white. Isn't that interesting? Must have hit a button on the camera. Anyway, so there it is. It's out of the oven. It's going to cool. In a few minutes, we're going to serve it up. It's a little liquidy, so I would suggest if you have soup bowls, serve it in those, because that's going to be about what it takes. Anyway, that's it, folks. Thanks for coming along. If you'd, like I said in the intro, if you'll do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe, please. And thanks for coming along. If you have any questions, comments, want a copy of the recipe, email me at dinnerfromthediningcar@yahoo.com. And have a great night. We'll see you later.